Oh, hi! So hey, what better way to go ahead and start doing some reactionary-based content than to completely forgetting about what you did the previous day beforehand and pretty much reacting to it now. That's a really, really long way of saying, damn, I don't remember what the fuck I did yesterday. But either way, we're basically going into a Unbound Knight Arowell, a Savior Adin, and then also a Navy Captain Landy. That's a whole bunch of light cancer, and it's also a lot of light cancer that just so happens to have a barrier on it on turn 1. Well, with that being said, you're going to go ahead and throw in an Oxlots on that, give yourself a turn 1 with your Arunka, Shazam, the Savior Adin is already fucking dead. Then, after that, if you are not going into something that is too terribly thick in terms of the defensive and the HP stat, then you can just straight up go into the Navy Captain Landy on next turn, because even if you get some counters and salvos, that shit ain't gonna fucking kill you. And then we also have Rule of Light on our field, just in case the Savior Adin just so happened to be like 280 speed or something fucking ridiculous, and then she would go in with an S3 and just straight up kill my Oxlots. And just in case, you know, what actually happened here, which was we got stunned at one point, we can also cleanse that stun off with our Rule of Light, and then we can just continue to go down the line and beat the shit out of the team. Alright, next team. So, herein lies a lot of the fun. So, this is something that can easily be solved with just pretty much anything that death pins, and then you just kind of like delete the problematic characters in general. But for this in particular, anytime I see Belian on the field, I usually like to go in with a Last Strider Krau. And with a Last Strider Krau up against a Belian, and then I also happen to have Roana on the team, you pretty much have that team already completely under wraps. Now, here's where I kind of made a mistake, is because in the very, very beginning of all these fights, pretty much the Belian went first, and then it was a matter of, that's your skill check of, hey, are you on injury? And basically, the Belian wasn't on injury, so there was absolutely no reason to really be going into her as hard as I was here. In all actuality, the real correct answer is to kill the Lionheart Cermia. Now, the reason why that this is a factor is because all this does is it really just makes the fight take longer. Like, straight up, everything you're seeing right here is really just a factor of, oh, I focused into the wrong thing, and now we're just going to be here longer, because now that the Belian's gone, the only means of AoE attack that we're going to even get that is going to speed up the damage that we're going to be dealing on Last Strider Krau is just through Ocean Breeze Luluca doing her Focus Space Shenanigans Truck Kunj stuff. And quite frankly, it really, really does start to add up in just how fucking long this shit really takes. And then you also have one other factor that you need to be constantly paying attention to the point where it's like, if you make even one fuck up, you really, really could easily just get yourself a loss for almost no reason. Now, the thing that I'm talking about is because we can't actually influence how much cooldown reduction that Elvira is going to have because of her, you know, her balance changes, basically. So she's going to always have one turn available to her where she can't use her S3 and she doesn't have immortality. Now, because of that, if the CR bar is ever off on just enough of an occasion, and if you don't use your Roana's S3 at the right times, like let's say you have one turn of immortality left and you straight up didn't use your S3 on Roana, you are running a very high risk of being a target without immortality and also possibly getting killed, which is a lot bigger of a chance than you really might imagine, because the Lionheart Cermia is almost always going to have death buff because of the things that Elvira does, which is that extra attack after S1, and whenever she has immortality, that's going to then cleanse her. Sure, she's not going to gain fighting spirit for it, but like this right here is straight up going to give her death buff, and then also Ocean Breeze Luluca being on the field also just straight up gives death buff about like, what, every 3 or so turns? So basically, the Lionheart Cermia, even though she's not able to do her S3 for big chunky damage, she could still run a very, very high risk of straight up deleting your Elvira. Now, the good thing is, we just so happen to cycle around enough times in a lot of the right places so that we're able to give ourselves either revive buff from Roana, a nice big chunky shield, and some heals. Basically, all of these things kind of work and factor together. The only time where it got kind of dicey is right up here towards this part up here at the next bit. So right up here in the next few is, I made a mistake and I burned right here, whenever I should have just used the S3 in general. Now, because I did that, it was Elvira's turn next, but then she didn't have the opportunity to actually use S3, because we didn't burn that, we didn't burn it. But either way, things work out, and then all the turn orders really kind of work around, and then we're able to just get it going. Because as soon as the Lionheart's down, you're pretty much in the clear, because it's just Ocean Breeze. And if you can heal from that, you're gold. Now, the thing that I was talking about in the first version of the video, where I was talking about, oh yeah, I finally speed-tuned my demon. Yeah, could you fucking believe it took me this goddamn long to basically just subtract 10 speed from Dark Corvus and add 10 speed to my Destina. So this way, anytime you're going into a scenario like this, where, hey, it's ae-KARINA, it's going to be Ocean Breeze Luluca, and it's an Abyssal Yufine, now your Destina is more than likely, even with some really bad, funky speed RNG, she's going to go next. After your Iseria, reset your Dark Corvus, so here, oh no, I'm blind. Okay, fuck it, we'll just throw out that S2. Now he's cleansed, yay! Now it's Dark Corvus's turn, and even if he were to somehow be pushed back from any other unit that would have been on that team that could push back, he'll be pushed up, and then you can go on ahead and delete your Abyssal Yufine. Congratulations, fuck this character. And now all you have left is ae-KARINA and then Ocean Breeze Luluca. Now, Ocean Breeze Luluca is really, really annoying. ae-KARINA is really, really annoying. Case in fucking point, because we're not able to really do anything. We have to tank these hits right here. But the good news is we have Guardian Ice Crystals, which is on Destina. So like any and all of those hits, even though we have been death broken and hit by that ae-KARINA a couple of times, I kind of don't give a shit, because Ocean Breeze Luluca is just going to make it like hurt a little bit more anytime she's able to give defense buff upward to the ae-KARINA. The ae-KARINA has already completely burned out all of her defense buffs, so now she's not doing anywhere near as much damage, even though she is on a counter set, and counter set ae-KARINAs are actually quite annoying to deal with. Hey, we've been hit enough times. Hey, looky there, guess whose turn it is again? Well, Devil's Descent that motherfucker, and Shazam! Now the ae-KARINA is fucking dead, because that's pretty much her only weakness is lol death pin. Which it really kind of feels like we just straight up don't have enough of that shit in the game right now. Yeah, we do have a fair amount of death pin that's in the game, but I feel like we don't have an excessive amount of it, or at least not enough of it, to where it feels like it can be a threat to this. Because it really, really does kind of feel like Death Scalers or units that really, really heavily utilize having a lot of high defense are just kind of safe. They're like really safe options to go into, like, as a defense. And I don't know, it's just kind of annoying that way. But either way, to those of you who are able to tell that I'm really just kind of yapping for the sake of yapping because there's nothing else to really talk about, congratulations, you win a teddy bear. But now it's up to Dark Corvus to go in and use Devil's Descent yet again, because Iseria S2 is hyper-based, and it completely skill tool cooldowns your character. Now you're able to knock her out of the game. Bye-bye, Ocean Breeze. And now, this is quite possibly the most fucked up match in the entirety of the video. I should have showcased this more than I did, but yeah, that's a really great first impression right there. We have ourselves a nice dodge character on the field, and nobody fucking dodged that first hit from Last Rider Krau. And then I also straight up just use my S3 for no fucking reason. Not like it strips, it's not going to help you there. And now, hey, thankfully, that was a miss. But then we proceed to get hit by just about every other fucking hit on our Assassin Cartuja that we could really be hit with. It's pretty fucking depressing because of the sheer amount of punishment that he's going to be taking up here in the next little bit. For example, okay, good. The red units fucking dodged, thank fucking Christ. But yeah, then Assassin Cartuja got hit, then he got hit again, then he got hit again. This feels great. This feels great. So we're taking an absurd amount of abuse on him right now, to the point where I'm about to start resigning to the fact of like, well, even if we die right here, we should still hopefully be okay, because we're going to have two other units that are going to be taking the abuse, and we also have our Mascot Hazel on Idle's Cheer, so we should hopefully be able to move down the CR bar a little bit. So I went for that S3 just because, like, hey, I need to get some more injury going on this shit, because I'm currently expecting, oh, Alencia is actually my lose condition. Guess what, guys? The lose condition is actually Last Rider Krau? It's definitely not Alencia, but Alencia is getting mad lucky on a lot of the hits that she's doing, and straight up dodge just straight up ain't fucking working right now. So We don't have a means of healing at this particular moment, because, like, we need one more turn of cooldown for Mascot Hazel, and guess whose turn it is here? Hey! Last starter Krau! Go fuck yourself! So, that means Assassin Cartuja is dead. Now all we have left to deal with is, I decided to just go for it. We need to burn this shit. We need to get this Alencia out of here, because if I take any forms of injury damage, I'm kind of in deep shit, because I need as much damage as I can possibly get. So now, let's go for the heal here. Now, thankfully, Mascot Hazel's low on HP here, so that means she's the current target of everybody else in general, which means she's going to get hit, which means that the Idol's Shear is going to be affecting your Illynav. Now, that's good, because we were able to get a couple of decent procs here, but then right there was some mad crazy-ass luck. I think I have, what, like 220-something fucking F-res, and that Unbound Knight Arowell was able to stun my ass? So I was like, wow! So you're just rocking a whole bunch of F, huh? But either way, that was just probably some mad crazy luck. Either way, we're able to go in once again into the last starter Krau. Now he's max level injured. Now we just need to get one more good heal off, and shazam. We should be 100% in the clear now, because I think this is either the second or it's probably the third bike from last starter Krau, which means he's going to do max level damage, but thankfully he has max injury, so that's pretty much like cut in half. Thank fucking Christ for that. And now that we've pretty much gotten rid of Last Rider Krau, we're pretty much in the clear. So, what did we learn, ladies and gentlemen? Don't rely on dodge, even though it really should be in your favor, because that was the reason I even went with Assassin Cartuja, because it was 2 light units going into a dark unit, and then a green unit that has, like, AoE attacks going into a red units that are going to also have additional dodge. But then sometimes, you know, RNG just says, hey, go fuck yourself. But either way, let's go ahead and tone things back and go back to good old tried and true. Hey, looky guys, it's another Cermia, Ran, and Lilius. And this is also a RNL Ran. So hey, what in particular does this RNL Ran do? Well, he does the funny man thing. That's one proc of RNL, and it did not go into Elena. So apparently it is really just a matter of RNG. It could either go into Lone Crescent Bellona or it can go into Elena. Good news for us, it was only one proc of RNL. So, with that only one proc, now we deal with the Cermia and the Lilius Cleave that are coming in. The only thing that kind of sucks about this is because I get boosted from my Silvertide Christy and from this attack right here, now I'm going to lose my immortality. Good news is, though, we can take this opportunity, kill the Ran, and now we only have to deal with Lilius and Cermia, and yes, this Lilius is going to hurt, because she's borrowing a Gab from the Cermia. But it is going to be nerfed damage through the Elena because that's an AoE attack coming in, and I also happen to have Vigor as well. So hey, my Lone Crescent Bellona should be able to tank this hit somewhat well as we're also doing some damage sharing from the Christy as well. Now, we ended up taking like 5k from that. Fucking hurt. But you know what? I still feel pretty safe. And honestly, guys, if you've seen the stats that are on my Lone Crescent Bellona, my Lone Crescent Bellona stats are honestly kind of trash. She's on a fucking injury set. She has lots and lots of wasted stats on her. She doesn't have as much defense and like HP bulk as she really could have. If I really wanted to have like a truly primo set, I would really love to have a lifesteal set on her with the same kind of stats. It's just not in the cards right now. But either way, that was a Holy Sack Lilius, which, hey, I got a dual attack, so it really didn't matter. But even if I didn't get that dual attack, I think everything would have been fine anyway. So, welcome to the final game of the night, ladies and gentlemen. So this is another mono light team. So yeah, it's Unbound Knight Arowell, Savior Adin, and a Spirit Eye Celine. So with this particular team, there's not a lot of like really special things that you can really do with it. In this particular situation, I wanted to go about this in a, hey, how much abuse can I take? So, let's bring in Roana for any and all of the Dust Devils that could possibly proc from the Spirit Eye Celine. We're going to bring Armin, who's also going to be on Aureus, so she's going to be tanking some of that damage that the Shadow Knight Pillis is going to be taking as well. And we're also going to be nerfing the amount of damage that go into single target units that are not Armin herself. So, basically, we're taking an extremely small amount of damage for every single one of those hits, and we don't even have Death Buff up yet on our Shadow Knight Pillis. Now we do. But straight up, we're only at, like, what, half health, going from a Violet's Talisman, of all things, save your Adin, which I really don't quite understand why you decided to go Violet's Talisman on it. I see the synergy in the sense that, hey, Spirit Isolane is there. Spirit Isolane's kind of like the anchor of the team. Unbound Knight Arowell's there, so you can't really, like, two-tap the Spirit Isolane because of the damage sharing. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, if you're going to have Save Your Adin on the field, I really feel like you should probably either do Sword of Cycling Seasons or possibly Kairon's artifact, which is Shepherds of the Hollow. I personally am not a fan of Shepherds of the Hollow in this defensive format because a lot of the times, anytime I'm going up against like, you know, light units, I generally want to have something that I know will tank it, and it's usually going to be a dark unit, which then means that Sword of Cycling Seasons is a more damaging artifact for you on defense. But either way, we were able to go in just a couple of times into the Spirit Isolane, even though we're dealing with damage sharing, even though we're dealing with barriers, even though we're dealing with all of that crazy-ass shit. She kind of falls in a little under, like, what, 20 or so turns? And yeah, the Spirit, now that the Spirit Isolane's gone, I quite literally don't have anything else to worry about. And I proceed to start autoing here in just a little bit, but then it was like a little further down the line, I then noticed something else as well, is this is an Unbound Knight Arowell that is also on a counter set. So right here I hit auto, because I'm just like, okay, fine, let's just go on ahead and we'll go into the Unbound Knight Arowell, and then we'll just we'll be good to go. So I'm not initially noticing the counter hits as of now. Like, I'm not noticing them. They're happening, but I'm not paying attention. Because the big thing in particular that Unbound Knight Arowell does whenever she counter hits is she actually heals herself, and I think it's based on how much HP that she has. So, I haven't noticed yet, but in post I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh damn, I should have absolutely fucking turned that auto off now, because then all I would need to do is just utilize a few soul-burned Shadow Knight Pillis S3s to go into Save Your Adin, and then we're fucking 100% in the clear. Because straight up, the Unbound Knight Arowell's S3, or no, not Unbound Knight, Shadow Knight Pillis' S3, when it goes into Save Your Adin, does so much fucking damage. It's actually surprising. It really, really is. So, I think it was right around here. Nope, it's going to be the next Save Your Adin turn. So on the next Save Your Adin turn, I then realize, oh, what the fuck am I doing? Because the Save Your Adin is going to attack with, you know, the S3. The S3 is then going to make it so that I'm going to do next to no fucking damage onto this Unbound Knight Arowell. I'm currently being walled out by the Unbound Knight Arowell because she is countering so fucking goddamn much. So right here I then decide, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go ahead and we'll turn this off. Now we'll soul burn the S3. We'll just go into the Save Your Adin. This is one hit. She's already at half health, while also sharing damage with that Unbound Knight Arowell. And because of the soul burn mechanics of Shadow Knight Pillis, you straight up get that S3 back for free, motherfucker. Well, technically not free, it's 10 souls. But you get what I mean. So now we'll go in yet again. Well, damn, she's fucking dead. Basically, that's kind of all you need if you're ever going into a Save Your Adin, is you just need like 2 Shadow Knight Pillis S3s, and you'll kill her even through crazy shit like damage mitigation. Now, to those of you who have noticed, yeah, we still had to kill this Unbound Knight Arowell. This Unbound Knight Arowell was being exceptionally annoying with the sheer amount of counters that she was doing, so it took a little bit, but hey, you just, you know, auto until you win. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Guild War. Hoorah! Thanks so much for being around with me, folks, because this was actually a good bit of fun to do. It's been a while since I've really done some, like, hard, heavy, like, tank down or, like, turn 2 shenanigans going in. And yeah, it does kind of show in the video length of the video, because a lot of them recently have been, like, 13 minutes to 15 minutes, and then this one's, like, you know, 20 fucking minutes, so yeah, sometimes it can kind of like not work out too well, because then it's just like, well, what are you gonna really talk about? Because you're just getting hit by dumb shit until it's time you can actually hit and then do some real damage. But yeah, I do actually tend to like that form of gameplay more. It just kind of speaks to me more in a sense of, hey, this actually feels like combat. This feels like a fucking like a cinematic kind of fight instead of just say, okay, I'm going to boost up and I'm going to one-tap the thing. Okay, cool, I finished in under a minute, and now I have to find some music that's like in under a minute. And it kind of sucks whenever you have to find shit like that. I mean, sure, sometimes like explaining those kind of things can be fun here and there when it comes to commentary, but like, it's not as fun, man. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I personally think like Cleave is actually boring as fuck, and I genuinely don't like Cleave. Like I think Cleave is a really stupid and boring playstyle. Counter Cleave, on the other hand, is actually a little bit more fun because it feels like you're setting a trap card, and then they go in, they hit your traps, and then you just kind of like destroy them for it. I think those are a lot more interesting in that sense to really talk about. But either way, not much else to really talk about for this Guild War in particular, but I did want to talk about one other thing in particular. So one thing that I'm actually getting ready to start up, and I'm really thinking about doing it, is in the next few days, probably like by next week or so, I'm actually thinking about making another style of video. And just to talk about it very, very briefly, I kind of want to make something that just addresses a lot of the QOL issues that are in the game, and I kind of want to just talk about that with everybody. But either way, that being said, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, go ahead and leave me a like. If you want to see more of my content, go ahead and hit subscribe. Later.